I think it's really good to have a diverse background, and it's good to explore new and different areas. And I had been history and literature as an undergraduate. I only took my first computer science class when I was a senior in college. And it happened because I used to do temp work during my vacations, and I was assigned once to a startup, and I realized they were doing really interesting work and I wanted to learn more, and I took a computer science class. I took CS50, which was the intro for a computer science major, and I loved it. And it was interesting because at the time I thought, like, it's too late for me. I was only 21, right? And I thought, like, it's too late to be computer science, like my career's over. And so I do think it is really important for people to remember that you can make changes and learn and adjust your career over time. And it just appealed to me, the creative, the dynamic, fast-moving, many components of it. And then when I actually grew up here in the Bay Area. My dad was a professor at Stanford. So when I came back, I got a job at a startup. And I've been in tech now for almost 35 years.
So a fellow at Google is effectively the highest level of individual contributor at Google. So it's equivalent to like a VP level. But it basically means that you get to tackle, quite frankly, whatever interesting problems really need a level of depth, but also across Google, cross-functional expertise. So I tend to focus more on analytics. I'll be honest with you, I use analytics and data science as my wedge in to go and talk about all sorts of strategic issues at Google. So I tend to stick my nose in, usually in a helpful way, into various different areas all throughout Google. So, that's sort of a fellow job. It's effectively an individual contributor, really one about influence, about authority, but really bringing a technical expertise and a technical depth. So that's sort of the job. It's crazy fun.
I was officially employee 16, but about 4 people joined the day before. So I was very early in my joining Google, and I just joined it because at the end of the day, I thought it was going to be they had no revenue at the time. I just thought, like, this is going to be an interesting place because it's delivering value to people, it's delivering information to users. I could see people writing to us. We used to have like an email queue that we'd all get when users wrote to support at Google. Like, everyone was on it. People would write about how it had made a difference for them, and so I just encourage you to be very open about looking for what is meaningful for you and how can you make a difference, and being curious about the world and believing that it will change and it will be different. So things that are growing fast will be very different 5 years from now. So I think if you find something that's meaningful, you feel like you're doing a good job, you feel like you can make a difference and grow, and it's something you love doing and you love the people that are there, then that will take you far.
I mean, I think the first piece of advice that I have, especially when I get really upset about certain failures, is the first thing is sleep on it. It's always better the next day. it's like a lot of these things, it's better with perspective, is what I would say. So that's just one thing. The other thing is, practically speaking, one of the things I found the most useful to do, and we do this actually within engineering all the time, it's got a horribly morbid name, which is a post-mortem, right? And the question is, why? Why did it fail? What happened? What did we learn from it? And I think that question of why is the really critical one. And I think the key thing is why did it happen? You get an answer. Okay, well, why did that happen? You have to just keep going and keep iterating so that you can really learn from what happened, right? Because that's the only way to really get better and to really do it better the next time. And so, the thing I sort of say is learn from the failure. Otherwise, it's a waste, right? If you're gonna try the thing, take the risk. When you fail, learn from it so that when you take the next risk, you don't make the same mistake. There was someone that I used to work for, his name is Jeff Huber. And you'd come and you'd be like, okay, you made a mistake and so on and so forth. It's like, okay, did the learnings that we learned from that mistake, was it worth it? Are we not gonna make that mistake again? And it's until you can actually say yes to that question, like, yes, we've learned all that we can learn so that we don't do it again, that's when you've learned from that failure.
Failure is going to happen for anyone and everyone throughout your career. There's no way to always get everything right and to make all the right decisions. And I've always just approached it, which has been hard, but over time I've really tried to approach it by stepping back and being as unemotional from it as I can, just trying to understand it and accept it. Because what I've learned is that like our natural tendencies are to deny that failure. I mean, there are many things we can do. One is we can be like, no, I didn't fail. So in business, it's very easy for you to build a product's not successful, be like, oh no, it's gonna be successful, it's gonna be successful. We just do this, it will get better. And not actually just acknowledge that there's probably something wrong, or we probably missed something, or there's a mistake. And so I think it's really important to just have a step back, not be personal about it, and to figure out like, well, what should we do? Should we fix it? Should we cancel it? Should we move on? And that's a really hard thing to do, and it's really hard to accept the failure. But I've learned over time that if you don't, it just gets worse and worse and worse. You sort of dig yourself deeper and deeper into the hole, and it's better to just get out of the hole as quickly as you possibly can and move on. And it's sometimes those failures that give you insights into whatever you do next that will actually help you be super successful or achieve the success you didn't have in the first project, but to achieve it in the second project or when you do it in your future endeavors. So I'm here as CEO of YouTube, but I used to work on Google Video, which was a competitor to YouTube. And at one point we had to make a decision: do we just continue with Google Video, or do we buy YouTube and sort of throw in the towel? And that was a really hard decision, but it was clear to me that was the right long-term decision for us to make. And a lot of people were really upset. A lot of people quit. A lot of people left. A lot of people didn't like that decision, but it was clear it was the right one. And so. But I also just encourage people not to give up. I think there are times that people are really upset about something. I know I've been in there where you're really angry with whatever happened, and you're like, I'm so angry, I'm just gonna quit, like serve them right? I'll quit and leave and do my own thing, and like they'll suffer. And like, but it never works that way. Like if you quit, like they won and you lost. So you need to stay in there, and I've been at Google now for over 20 years, so it's good. Like you stay there, and over time you work it out, you figure it out. It's good to just stick with it and keep arguing for what you believe in and what's important to you and what you think will make a difference for your users and customers and your product or whatever your mission is. So.